Axelay takes place in a distant solar system called Illis, where an alien empire known as the Armada of Annihilation have been invading planets one by one. They eventually came upon an Earth-like planet called Corylus. The Empire laid siege upon Corylus for several months until there were only a small pocket of survivors left. The remaining survivors of Corylus joined forces with survivors from neighboring planets to create a single, advanced prototype space fighter known as D-117B, codename Axelay. The player must take control of Axelay in a last resort to stop the alien invasion and save the galaxy, blasting through hordes of enemies to recover its lost weaponry and unlock its true power. At the beginning of each stage, the player must choose from 3 different weapon types: a pod, which is the ship's main cannons, a side, which is a unique weapons type, and a bay weapon, which is your missiles and bombs. Completing each stage will unlock new weapons as you progress through the game, with a total of 8 weapons to choose from. This feature adds a layer of strategy to each level by letting you customize your loadout and try different loadouts on stages that you're having trouble with. The ship is equipped with a fire button and a missile button. The 2 shoulder buttons are used to switch between the 3 weapons types. The buttons are customizable in the settings menu as well. Each weapon type will also act as a shield for your ship. If you are hit by a bullet, you will lose that weapon and are switched to a different weapon type. After you've been hit 4 times, your ship will explode. However, if an enemy ship hits you, your ship will explode immediately and you will lose a life. Your ship will instantly respawn in the same position, and once all of your lives are gone, you will have the option to continue from the beginning of the level that you died on. The vertical stages are known for their creative use of Mode 7 to simulate a depth of field, though I do find it creates a bit of a warping effect as well, and can be somewhat disorienting at times while trying to navigate some of the stage's obstacles. This can become challenging when trying to line up shots on enemies as well, but once you get the hang of it, it's an absolutely mind-blowing visual trick, especially for the time. The horizontal stages of the game are more of a traditional 2D horizontal layout, similar to R-Type. The backgrounds are very polished and responsive, with beautiful parallax scrolling. The sprites and bullets are detailed and colorfully animated. Each level ends with a large, impressive boss battle, usually consisting of a couple of forms. Each one is very unique and bring their own strategies and tactics. Axelay is a scrolling style shooter developed in 1992 by Konami for the Super Nintendo in America and the Super Famicom in Japan. It's made up of 6 levels featuring alternating horizontal and vertical layouts, similar to the games Salamander or Life Force. This gives the player a unique experience as they navigate each stage with a different perspective, which brings different challenges. This ambitious project was taken on by a small development team and was headed by Kusami Kitao, known for producing Super Castlevania for the Super Nintendo. It was developed by the same people that would later go on to form the heavy-hitting game studio known as Treasure, famous for creating such titles as Radiant Silvergun and Ikaruga. Axelay was released in Japan and America on September 11, 1992, and later released in Europe on September 30, 1993, to overall positive reviews. Axelay has been praised for its creative visual design, engaging music score, and an advanced selection of weapons for the time. Completing the game twice consecutively on the hardest difficulty will display a message advertising Axelay 2 at the end of the credits. Unfortunately, the sequel never materialized due to low sales numbers of the first game. The Axelay D-117B fighter makes an appearance in Konami's Air Force Delta Strike as an unlockable aircraft. Now that I've gone over the history and story of Axelay, I'd like to give you some of my own personal impressions and experiences during my playthrough. I found the graphics overall to be very animated, colorful, and vibrant, with very little slowdown overall. I actually expected more of it compared to other shmups that I've played on the Super Nintendo, but was pleasantly surprised overall, especially in Mode 7 vertical levels. In the horizontal stages, there were almost no instances where I felt the game was brought to a crawl at all. The music really brought the experience together for me, and is one of my most critical aspects of the genre. The game can be as beautiful as it wants, but without the soundtrack to back it up, I rarely sit through it. Each level and boss had a very immersive track and really helped me get into the groove of each stage. I found the sound effects weren't too overbearing. I find many shooters have their sound effects volumes mastered way too high, taking away from the music experience, with no way to adjust it. This one seems to have set it pretty perfectly. The controls are very responsive with 8-way directional movements, and the ability to reassign buttons is always a welcome feature. I actually switched the 2 shoulder buttons to the other 2 unused face buttons, which seemed to help a lot during switching weapons. I do wish the enemy bullets could have been a bit bigger with more color. It certainly isn't as bad as some other shmups I've played in the 16 and 32-bit era, but this will probably always be an issue for me. The hitbox of the Axelay ship is pretty large, which can become cumbersome in some of the mid-stages while navigating through the caverns and obstacles. Overall, Axelay has been a great balance of challenge and fun. I didn't have the chance to have this game in my collection when I was younger, but it has become quickly one of my go-to titles when showing off the genre on the Super Nintendo. It is the only shmup I know of to take full advantage of Mode 7 as well. Axelay has become a beacon for what shooters could become, with an overall impressive package and tons of replayability. Until the next time, stay in the digital cockpit and hold on tight. Thanks for watching, there will be more content to come.